I am pale. People don't realize how pale I am. I'm the palest of all of my siblings. Luckily, I do have my dad's genetics, so I don't burn in the sun, but my skin just changes color very slowly. And I embrace my paleness. I like to change it up though with self-tanner, just like I change up my hair. Also, sitting out in the sun as a spoonie is really difficult. Even my dog Pebbles felt the need to protect me from the sun. I'm kidding, she's a princess, she cannot sit on the floor. It takes me so long to get a natural tan, so I've just given up on it and I fake it, which is also safer. But using fake tan isn't easy, and I've had some bad tan. But I've made the mistakes so that you don't have to, and I have found solutions to most of the common tanning issues. So you can check out the timestamp below for a guide to each issue. First up, I don't want to look orange. I hear this so often. If you are very pale like me, it's likely that any tone is going to be enhanced in that contrast. Looking orange is the main one that people are afraid of because we don't want to look like an Oompa Loompa. But just like you have foundations with warm, cool, olive, neutral skin tones, there are fake tans that have different tones, so you're not always going to look orange. The trickiest part is finding out which tan is going to look best on you. On some people, an orange tint will have more of a golden effect, but then on others, it will just look orange. My best advice, if you think you found a tan that's going to work with your tone, get a travel size and test it out. Now, some people will say, oh, get a Gradual self-tanner or tanning water. It won't make you look orange. But if the tanning water, drops, or moisturizer has an orange tint to it, doesn't matter how slowly you apply it, it will still look orange. You'll just gradually get used to it. If you've ever had a natural tan, you can actually use that as a guide. For example, I was gardening last summer. I didn't realize that my lower back was in the sun the whole time, day after day. And I ended up with this perfect line across my back. And then I just used that to match with my fake tans. Actually, it was a lot darker than I thought. My rule of fake tan is not to go darker than I could naturally go in the sun, and also to make sure that it works with my skin tone, so I'm not trying to cover anything. Fake tan and self-tanners, they should enhance your skin tone, not hide it. I hate how it feels. See, some fake tans, they need to sit on the skin for about 8 hours before you can shower. So a lot of people will apply it before they go to bed and shower when they wake up. If you feel like that's something that you can do, but you're worried about your sheets, you can get sheets and pajamas that are actually designed for sleeping in while you tan. But for the absolute life of me, I cannot get comfortable and sleep in fake tan. I don't even like wearing fake tan for more than a few minutes. So here is what I do. I look for an express 1 hour tan. These are a higher concentration of tan, so you don't need to leave it on to marinate for 8 hours. And I also cheat the system even more by using the darkest shade available. But because I'm so pale, I don't need that full hour. 10 minutes is enough for me. So I apply it, wait 10 minutes, and rinse. Express tans still take 4 to 6 hours to show up on the skin, but you don't feel damp and sticky. After you rinse, you can barely feel anything on your skin. So if you can manage 10 minutes twice a week, you'll have a very natural looking tan. But it always looks streaky. Sometimes when you apply your tan, you think you've applied it perfectly, and then once it develops, it looks really uneven, or maybe it just fades unevenly. If that happens to you, you can try what I call the nail polish technique. Let me explain this technique. So you know when you're applying nail polish, that first layer isn't smooth. It's a little streaky, but once it dries and you apply the second layer, it kind of fills in all of those gaps and you have a much more even look. Well, you can do that with self-tanner. Now there's 2 ways to do this. You can either apply the same tan twice, or you can use a different tan. So I like to pair my express tan with a moisturizing Gradual self-tanner. If my 10-minute tan looks uneven or streaky, I can then apply a Gradual tan over it to fill in all those gaps. So let's say I apply my 10-minute mousse on a Monday. By the Wednesday, I'll apply a moisturizing tan if I want it to be a little deeper. See, the thing about these Gradual tans is that they are usually clear, so you can't really see where it's going. So sometimes it can be a little uneven. That's why it's great to have the mousse underneath, because that has a guide color. And then the 2 of them sandwich together and create this beautiful shade. If you are using this layering technique, then your Gradual tan should be lighter than your express. So I use a dark express, but then I use a light medium in a Gradual. Now some express mousse tans can be quite drying, so adding in that moisture really helps with that fading process. But it also helps to extend that glow even longer. I would recommend moisturizing as your tan fades, even if you're not looking to extend it. Just use a regular body lotion after you shower. How do I get this tan off? There are tan removers out there. They basically break down the tan and then it can be removed. But if your tan has been on for a few days, it likely just needs a good exfoliation. And that's where this mitt comes in. Everybody needs one of these. Everybody. If you want your skin to look amazing all the time, you want to try one of these. Now let's say you need to remove tan quickly. Say you've got it on the palms of your hands or your feet. There are a few fixes. Firstly, hold off on exfoliating. Sometimes you can actually exfoliate and buff it in. Let's try to break it down before we exfoliate it. And before you go out and buy anything, let's just see what you already have that can break down the tan. First up, baby oil. Oils break down anything. Another thing you probably already have, shaving foam. Put a thick layer on the area, leave it for 5 minutes, and it starts to break it down. Those are my two go-tos, but some people suggest using vinegar, washing up liquid, window spray because it has vinegar in it. And if it's for your feet, try using a file first on dry skin and then exfoliate with a damp cloth. But if it does happen to you, don't panic. And if anybody makes fun of you, you can send them to me and I will tell them off. Now I know I'm throwing a lot of information at you, but just bear with me because the next thing has happened to me so many times. The tan has somehow just washed down the drain. Say you've applied your express tan and you go and shower it off and then nothing happens. That's because there's a difference between showering and rinsing your tan, which is something I really had to learn. Rinsing should be no longer than 60 seconds. You get in, you get out. If you have a mister setting on your shower head, use that. If you use a really strong stream, you might end up creating streaks because you're basically power hosing the tan off. But if that does happen, remember you have your moisturizing gradual tan to fill in those gaps, so don't panic. Now the tan will take about 4 hours to fully develop, so I just try to avoid soapy water just for a little while and then you can just shower as usual once it starts to develop. Now when it comes to shaving, I like to shave after the tan has developed. It's basically the mousse tan can settle into those shaved pores and look a little bit bumpy. And shaving after the tan has developed really shouldn't be stripping it away. But just be careful with your shaving gel because remember, that can strip your tan. I have turned green. Okay, one thing you have to remember is that tan can actually turn green as it gets old. So if you're not likely to use tan a lot, make sure you're using smaller bottles or make sure you're really closing them tightly and maybe even put them into an airlock bag. You also want to be careful if you've recently tinted your brows or dyed your hair because it can react and then that can even go green. Now there's a million videos on how to apply tan. I have lots of them if you want to check them out, but I didn't want to just show you guys how I apply tan. I wanted to offer you some solutions to when it goes wrong. Now in saying all of this, look, I love my pale skin. I do embrace it, but it is hard to find products that are suitable for really pale skin. But over the years, I found ways to enhance the paleness without changing it. So do let me know if you would like to see a video on that. And remember, my friends, be kind to yourself, be kind to your skin, and I will see you in the next one.